do it slower.
Welcome to Bluegrass Brooklyn, our podcast all about the music we love, straight from the Bluegrass borough of Brooklyn, New York. Season 5, Episode 8. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Wilner.
And I'm Liz Wolfe.
So Liz took off to attend the Appalachian Fiddle and Bluegrass Association Festival at Wind Gap, a really unique and special community-oriented event that gives us the behind-the-scenes look. So looking forward to hearing that.
I also had a really fun conversation with some locals who only live 3 miles away, but come down to the AFBA, as it is otherwise known, the AFBA Festival there in Wind Gap. That was an amusing and fun history lesson.
So Liz, what do you got coming up?
Well, for one thing, I have a Wernick Method Jam Camp coming up on April 10th through 12th. That's a full immersion into jamming. It's going to be a great class, and I would love to have anybody who wants to come. And doing this interview about the AFBA Festival is making me excited about the festival season, which is coming up. For the first time, I'm going to the Telluride Bluegrass Festival out in Colorado.
Wow.
In June.
Yeah.
So I am excited to do that. And if anybody is out in the Colorado area or anywhere and wants to join me out there, you should come on out.
Yeah. And you're going to be doing some podcasting there, you think?
Oh, yes. I will be doing some podcasting. It's going to be a fun, new experience for me.
Since we're talking about festivals, there's a couple of things coming up. First is April 13th through 17th down in Southwest Louisiana. I'm headed to Eunice, Louisiana for the Dewey Balfa Cajun Creole Heritage Week. And hyperlocally in early May, May 7th to 10th, it's that time again, the Swamp in the City Festival in Red Hook, Brooklyn. It's 3 days of fun and gumbo and boiled crawfish and Zydeco and Cajun music and all that stuff. Should be a lot of fun. Anything else, Liz?
No, but just remember to follow us on all our social media, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and follow, and subscribe to this podcast so we can spread the love of bluegrass even further.
Okay, so let's roll.
Well, hello and welcome, and thank you so much for listening. I'm very excited to have on today the folks from the AFBA Festival. I have with me Louis Setzer, who's the original president. He's the founder of this whole festival that happens once a year in August. And we have Jody Fishbein on. She's the head of the band committee and the workshop coordinator, as well as pretty much everything else. And Mitch, who has come on relatively recently, who is a member of the AFBA, but also the marketing has been incredibly improved since he joined, because he's got a real knowledge and style that he brings to it. So welcome to the three of you. So absolutely want to make clear right off the bat that this is not the Wind Gap Festival. Okay, there are two festivals held on the same exact facility, but the Wind Gap Festival, which is run by Harry Grant, that's in June, and lots of fun, and sure, go to that. But this is the sweet little festival that happens in August. It's always the when?
First weekend in August. It's July 30th through August 2nd this year.
Okay.
And AFBA stands for Appalachian Fiddle and Bluegrass Association.
Yes. By the way, they don't just have a festival. They have a whole association where there's lots of things going on, and we are going to talk about that as well. Well, Louis, let's start with you. It was your idea to start this festival. And tell us what gave you the idea and how you got it started.
Well, when I first got into bluegrass music, I was traveling all the time, because I lived about 2 miles from where the festival's held. And I was traveling all the time through Martin Guitar. A fella there had me go to a bluegrass festival. And once I heard it, I came home, quit playing country music, and decided to play bluegrass. And I was traveling to Ohio. I was going to Philadelphia, going to Virginia, anywhere I could go to find bluegrass music. And I got so tired of doing it because, first of all, I was spending a lot of money on gas. I was working a full-time job, raising a family, and I was just traveling all the time. Every weekend, that's where I was, on the road by myself. And I said to my wife at the time, I said, there's got to be some musicians around here to play music. So I put a little tiny ad in the newspaper, the local paper, and 2 guys came and showed up at my house. And we jammed that afternoon, and I invited them back the next month. And they brought a couple of friends. And every time I had it, every month we did the same thing. More and more people were coming. Pretty soon, the property that I had at the time had like a little picnic grove. People started to bring tents, and they were staying for the weekend. And at this time, my wife and I were feeding everybody and buying beer and soda and all that, and just having cookouts and so on. This went on for well over a year. And there was probably close to 100 people coming to my
Oh my God.
And I said, you know what? This is ridiculous. We got to go somewhere. So that's when we were at Blue Valley Farm Show building. And we started having shindigs there every month. And that just grew and grew and grew until we decided, at the time when we were running that, we were giving away free beer and free soda. And that drew a lot of people.
Yeah, man, I'd be there.
So anyway, it was around 73 when I got my brother to take care of the finances, and a friend of mine to be like the vice president. And we decided we better get incorporated just in case somebody leaves our shindig and has an accident or something. We didn't want to be losing our houses and stuff like that. And it was a few years later, and we finally had enough money to try to put a festival together. And we started at Klein's Grove in Bath, Pennsylvania. And we had the festival there for quite a few years. We decided to buy the park, which used to be an old drag strip, and we bought that from family friends where I grew up. And we just started having the festival. One of the things that happened, though, when the township found out that we were going to have a festival there, people were thinking it was going to be another Woodstock. But what we did, we went around to all the neighbors and gave all the neighbors free tickets, and all the council people from the township and so on, to come to our festival and see what it was all about. And they did, and they were well pleased, and it grew ever since. So that's how it all started. Our first stage was a flatbed truck. But word of mouth was our best advertisement. So it just grew from there, and I'm really proud of it. We've been doing it a long time.
And so for the listeners, now when you drive in, there's a little bit of a field there, and then there is still this drag strip, basically, that is this perfectly flat, awesome place for you to take your golf carts up and down to get back and forth from the stage, that leads you down to the main camping area where there's another big flat field, which is great. They do have electricity there. There's facilities there. And so why I bring this up is that there's a real community feel. You know, a lot of festivals have this thing where you drive in, you drive out, and you really don't care about the park after that. You don't think about it. But there's a huge commitment from the members of AFBA, which are more local there, to keep the park beautiful. And it's really lovely. And there's really cool jamming up the hill, which is my favorite part.
Yeah, that's my favorite part too, is all the jamming in the different places back in the woods. It's got like a home feeling, without a doubt.
Yeah. So there's a stage that's got a bit of a history to it there. And I know the big thing on this stage is there's a mural on there. So what's the history of the mural?
Well, a man came to our festival one year, and he said he wanted to do something for us. He was an artist that lived in Bath, Pennsylvania. I think his last name was Johnson.
Yes.
And he painted all of the older musicians from back in the day, like Wiseman Bill Monroe,
Doc
the Os-
Watson.
Doc Watson, the Osborne brothers, the Stanley brothers. And as these people came to our festival every year, we had them sign this mural. And that is located now in Kentucky somewhere.
Yeah, it's at the Bluegrass Hall of Fame. It was supposed to be removed 2025, but it's still there. And I know they're working on possibly keeping it there.
Be on the stage now is a copy of it.
Those folks came and then they signed it. And so that's a real relic. Wow.
Yeah.
They brought it to Doc Watson. He was playing in the area and they actually brought it down. A couple people went down and he signed it after a show.
So here we are in 2026. So 1980 to 2026.
46 years.
46 years of the AFBA Festival. How has it changed over the years?
I don't think it's changed in some ways. I think it's still very social and very community. I think there's a little more commitment to taking care of the grounds. That's a lot of work. We work year round on the festival.
It hurts me a lot that we lost so many timers. But one of the only real original people is Del McCurry. And everybody else is about gone. We lost all the old time.
And who was the most famous person to come and play at AFBA in the old days?
Me.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
No, I would say Del McCurry was, when I went to the first Bluegrass Festival I went to, thanks to Mike Longworth from Martin Guitar, he bought me tickets to go to this festival. I was never at one. And the first thing I seen was Carlton Haney, who was the promoter of the festival, introduced this band called Del McCurry and the Dixie Pals. When I heard that man sing and the harmonies they did, that sold me on bluegrass right off the bat. And I just love Del McCurry. I love them all. Del McCurry, he's just such a gentleman.
And he's played there a few times over the years.
Yeah. The first festival we had, I said, I'm not having a festival unless we have Del McCurry. And Del McCurry lived in York, Pennsylvania at the time, which isn't real far from the festival ground, about a 2-hour drive. And I called him up and told him I'd like to have a bluegrass festival. I wanted to know if he wanted to come up and play for us. And he said, let me see what I can do. He called me back about 2 days later. He said, we'll come up, play Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for $350. And you can't even come close to hiring him today for that. And I mean, that's what a gentleman he was, because he knew it was our first festival. He said, I want to help you make it a success.
Right.
And it ended up, our first festival, we made $250 profit.
Woo.
That's big.
I was kind of upset about that, but then a friend of mine said, you're very fortunate. He said, most festivals lose money the first maybe 5 years.
Yeah.
So our festival just grew and grew and grew. And we took the pride in the fact that it was family oriented. It wasn't like some of the festivals I've gone to over the years weren't too family friendly.
That's for sure. That love seeing the
We
kids.
prided ourselves in that.
Yeah. And that really shines through. I do want to go back to something that you said, Louis, which was you called him up. Imagine trying to call Del McCurry up right now.
Yeah.
So I called him up. I mean, people just don't do that. You know, you got to go through the PR agent. You got to do whatever.
Yeah.
But, you've had really amazing, in the time that I've gone, some of the artists that jump out to me. Gibson Brothers were there. Becky Buller was there. Junior Sis came. That was a
He's
fun.
coming back this year.
Is he? I
He
love
is.
his stuff. So there have been a lot of great acts. So let's go to you, Jody, for a minute to say, obviously, as being the chair of the band committee, how are you finding these artists and how does that work?
Well, we're a committee and we sit down, we decide which bands we want to contact first. We contact them. If they're not available, we move to the next. And we talk about who we're going to hire. We try to be diverse. We have both traditional bluegrass as well as progressive bluegrass. And we also do a lot of things for the kids. And we ask some of the band members to come in and do workshops for us.
Another thing that I love about the AFBA Festival is how much you support local artists. And some of my friends that I've gotten to know have played on the stage. And, that's the community part where I'm going to go because Bill Parker is going to be playing up there. I'm going to go because Mary Lou's going to be up there. So you're going to hear really, really good music from more local musicians. And that's part of what gives it that community feel.
Yeah, we try to spread the local bands over the 4 days. So everyone gets a chance to play on a Friday or a Saturday. And in order to be a local band that plays is you have to come out and support our shindigs, which are held in Easton, New Jersey. And we do that the second Sunday of every month. But I'd say check a calendar because this month we're out a week. But on the average, we're the second Sunday of every month. It's local bands. All the money goes back into the organization for the festival, for running the park. Any money we make goes towards running the park, the festival, the shindigs.
Yeah. And as festivals go, this is an affordable one, I would say.
It is. Our tickets will be $125 at the gate. If you want to buy pre-fest, we have different dates. I'd highly suggest going to the website and buying your tickets because there's a very good incentive for the discounts up until the festival.
$90 until June 14th.
And the website is
AFBA
AFBAwindgap.org. So that's a very affordable price. Let me tell you, you can go in on a Wednesday to get, just like any other festival, you're going to go in on a Wednesday, you're going to get your spot. What you are not going to do is fight with other people for a spot. I've done that at festivals.
Oh, me too.
You drive in, it's calm, there's spaces. If you want electricity, you can get it. I mean, not saying you can show up on a Friday morning and get the best spot, but there's a big field, there's spots up in the woods, people come in. So it's very relaxed. There's water on site. You can fill up your RV. There's a dumping station on site. And there's, of course, vendors for food and everything that you would expect. Vendors for food and also for, of course, fun things you can buy. So
They
you're
have
going to
showers.
Oh, that's right. The best part of all is there are hot showers
Free. Pretty clean.
that
They're
are clean. They're free. I go to other festivals and you're paying $5 to go take a shower. So it's got all the comforts of home while having some really great musicians. So let's talk about the jamming a little bit. There's a jam tent. So tell us about the jamming tent and the workshop tent.
So the jam tent we moved last year, which I know you like. It's in the shade. We're calling it Shady Grove.
Right.
And what it is Liz comes in on Thursday and does a slow jam. And Friday and Saturday, we host jams where we bring in a professional musician and people come and jam with them. So we do that 6 hours on Friday, 6 hours on Saturday. And the jams seem to go on and on.
Yes.
There, you can go by there at night and you'll see jams going on, as you know, because you're there. Our workshops, it's Friday and Saturday. And I ask bands that are playing at the festival to do the workshops. And that's because that's who people want to jam with, the people that have been on stage. But the workshops are wonderful. They're an hour long. Everybody walks away saying, wow, that was great. I work hard on the workshops and the jam tents, but I think they're worth it.
And then there's jamming afterwards. There's as good of jamming at AFBA Festival as any place I've been elsewhere. And you don't even have to walk as far.
No, there's music everywhere.
There's music everywhere.
And if you want to play all night, there's that for you. If you want to go to sleep and listen to a jam, that's there for you too.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Mitch, you have been more recently becoming a member at AFBA, and you, as I mentioned in the beginning, have up to the level of the marketing. So tell us your story and why you got involved and what your vision is.
Yeah, thank you, Liz. It's great hearing the history of the AFBA. The park has become a second home for me. I didn't know much about bluegrass music until I came to the AFBA Festival. I heard the event advertised on our local radio station that plays folk music and went up there with a few friends post-COVID, friends from New York City who wanted to get out of the city. And we went up to the park and were welcomed with open arms by everybody who was there. We had a great time listening to these headline acts that introduced us to a different genre of music that we didn't know much about and really fell in love with. Really enjoyed the rustic and wooded scenery of the park. There's something for everybody there. Everybody's really nice, good food. We don't do the free beer and the free soda
Yes,
anymore, but
I noticed that.
but everybody's very hospitable and they share things when you need it. In short, I heard about the festival through the radio, fell in love with bluegrass music, and the AFBA Festival has been an annual tradition for me for the past 4 or 5 years, and the park is a second home.
Yeah, but you've also really dived in with supporting the festival with these really great graphics and ads. So, what is your vision and involvement with that?
Yeah, professionally, I work in marketing and communications. I saw that there was an opportunity to lend my expertise to this organization and help promote the festival. We've got, as we've all talked about today, a product that we believe in and an experience that we want others to be able to enjoy. And it's my goal to help spread the word. So we have a multi-pronged marketing approach this year. So we're expecting a big crowd this year. We have an additional promotion that's going on now until the Wind Gap Bluegrass Festival ends, which will be June 14th. We're going to do various other types of promotion. We're partnering with other festivals and other music venues that promote bluegrass music so that their audience knows what AFBA offers. We have a website where all of our updated information on the festival and our events, that is afbawindgap.org. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram. We're active on those channels. And we encourage everybody to come to our Shindig events or interact with us online to learn more about the event and get your tickets now before the price increases June 15th.
This is all in alignment with all of our visions to share the joy of bluegrass in the biggest way possible. And the other thing is that you are bringing a younger energy into it. I mean, this is really important, not to say anything about the folks that have been around a long time. Those are very important. In order to keep bluegrass growing, we need to keep bringing in new people.
I want to make sure that we all know that there's a mission behind this organization as well. And that's something that continues to motivate me with my work with the AFBA. Not only do I learn more about bluegrass music and make sure that I'm with friends who also support just keeping this music alive, but we're investing in the next generation. The AFBA organization is a nonprofit, and we have an AFBA Youth Academy at this festival where young musicians, children, and teenagers can come bring an instrument and they can practice playing. And then as an organization, we also offer scholarships for students as well to be able to take music lessons. So it's a lot of fun. It's a great time. And it also supports a good cause.
And we need to support the young generation coming up because, like I said, all the old timers are just about gone. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to see this music die. And the AFBA really is pushing for the younger generation that's coming up.
And there are a lot of young bands out there, national bands, and that are doing the jam thing. Our festival is small, it's unique, and I think it's very communal, but I think that is dying in bluegrass as the small festivals. And my biggest concern with bluegrass is, where are we going to be in 5 years? Who's going to take my place? Who's going to step up and do the work? I'm very concerned about the small festivals. So people need to come out and support the small festivals because that's where it started. And that's where you're going to see all your community.
Yes. Well, first of all, I want to make sure people know they can actually donate to the AFBA organization through that website.
Absolutely. Yep.
So please do that. If you just are hearing this podcast and you want to support an obvious group of people that are really focused on supporting bluegrass. So those folks that are listening, please look into both contributing, donating, and supporting and coming to that AFBA Wind Gap Festival. So Louis, I want to go back to you for a minute. What is one of the craziest things you've seen at the festival?
Well, the biggest thing that I remember happened at Clyde's Grove. We happened to be there and a tornado came through.
Really?
And there
real tornado.
There happened to be a man in one of the porta toilets. This thing got flipped upside down with this man in it. He did not get hurt, But he walked out of there and he was covered blue everywhere. And thank goodness it happened on a Friday, so the festival had just started. Thank God for that. And to look at this poor man, you couldn't help but just bust out laughing. But it's just, I don't know, every year there's some kind of new experience, but there are certain things that really stick out, and that was one of them.
Can I share a story?
Oh, please share.
So Seldom Seen was playing, and John Duffy had just passed away, and there was a bird flying around. And every time it would have been like John's part, he would tweet, and you'd hear him tweeting. And that just, it sticks with me because it was like John Duffy was there. He was saying, "We like your festival." But it was really interesting. And then the bird left when they left the stage. We didn't see them.
Well, one time we had the Osborne brothers were playing there along with the Lewis family. And I didn't even notice what's happening. And I was emceeing at the time and didn't even see this taking place. But the Osborne brothers were on the stage. And all of a sudden, out of the roof rafters, little Roy jumps on Sonny Osborne's right on the stage. This is the kind of comedy stuff that this guy used to do all the time. I mean, they had this bond that was just unbreakable. Yeah. And it's just crazy things like that would happen at the festival.
And a great experience that I had was last summer was Bobby Osborne Jr. was actually on the stage and playing. And of course, that was so amazing because his father is in the mural.
Yeah, and it was so cool to see him with his dad right above his head and him right below it on the mural. And yeah, and the mural itself, bands love to play in front of it. Everyone knows our mural. And it's a big thing for them to be able to stand on that stage with that mural and take pictures.
Yep.
I don't think we've ever had a national band that wasn't like, "Oh my God, that's amazing."
Those are the beautiful moments. So tell me about the bands you're going to have this year.
Okay, so we've got a great lineup this year. We've got Hen House Prowlers, the Graspels, Danny Paisley, Southern Grass, Junior Siskin Friends, Downriver Collective, the Plate Scrapers, Martha Spencer, the Youngers. We're having a tribute to Olden and the Way, the Zola Boys, Louis Setzer, and the Appalachian Mountain Boys, the Dishonest Fiddlers, Girl Billy Project. And then our local bands this year will be Big Valley Bluegrass, the Coal Fired Ramblers, Hex Hollow, Kelly Planer, the Perks, and the Santara Wind, Stone Hearth Bluegrass, Sunset Drive, the Twin River Rounders, and don't forget our Youth Academy. So bring your kids and put them in there.
I can't wait. See, it's always a troubling moment for me when I have to decide between jamming or going up to the stage and seeing people. But this year, it sounds like it's going to be more late night jamming and more shows for me. That sounds wonderful.
Thanks.
So I want to thank you for joining me. I can't wait to see you in August. And if anybody's around and wants to look up the shindigs, you should take a good look for that so you can get your bluegrass chops up before the festival. But it's going to be a wonderful time. Hope to see you there, and we will have more fun then. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. All right, we're at the Wind Gap Festival talking to Scott, Steve, and Jeff. And why I'm so curious to talk to you is because this AFBA Wind Gap piece of pavement here used to be an actual drag strip, and that's what I want to hear about. So can you tell us, John, you had some questions, like who owned it and why did...
Who built it? I think it was an association.
Yeah.
For people that like doing this.
Yep.
Because they had to do some work.
Oh yeah, it was an eighth of a mile track. Yep.
Oh, 1/8 of a mile, okay.
1/8 of a mile right here.
And this was the finish line.
Right,
right,
in here.
right where we're sitting
about
right here is the
yep.
finish line.
The pits were up there.
Okay, the pits were down at that end.
Yeah, pits. And but to get back after you ran, You went back that gravel road.
Oh,
up
that's
through
why that
there.
gravel road.
Yeah, that was bumpy for the car
wasn't
because they
just
used
stock
to bring
flat. There were
rails.
rails here.
They used to bring rails. Yeah,
there were rails
yeah,
here.
yeah.
What
when
kind
we
of,
were,
what do you mean? Like,
Like the long
you know, them
dragsters,
long
real
dragsters, Big
Don't know.
Daddy Don Garland,
Skinny in the front, yeah.
real, yeah.
Long rail and big
Top
ass tires,
fuel.
a lot of horsepower.
Yeah, but
Now
my
they're
father
10,000,
raced
20,000 horsepower, who knows?
stock.
okay.
Yeah, he had an old police Chevy Impala, and he ran that here for several years, and then he upgraded and had a Pontiac GTO.
67 GTO.
Yeah, 68 I think it was.
And so,
68, candy apple red, and that thing went like hell.
so was it more about the thrill, or was there cash prizes?
Oh, it's small cash prize, but a trophy.
Yeah.
It was
trophy.
a trophy.
It's more about the trophy.
We were kids and we rode our
Probably
bicycles
72
here
I
on
was here.
It was
I
Sunday
9
afternoon.
when I came here first time.
Yeah, Sunday
You were
afternoon.
9,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
you came out, so you could ride your bike along this trip if you wanted to.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
rode my bike here many
Oh yeah,
times.
we rode
I
our
walked
bikes
here
here.
already too when I was a little kid.
I saw him when
10,
first time I met
I
him.
pushed his brother in the
He was
creek.
the first time I saw him, he was riding. He was taking his bicycle, and they were holding their legs up here, and they were doing this weird shit. So I walked over here. There's a copperhead trying to get him, and they were
The
playing-
copperhead
they were
trying to
playing
get
with
him.
a big copperhead.
We
though.
did that back then.
And this,
you know,
it
that
was, I could see it striking, and then my mom had to play hero and come out with the shovel. You kids gotta get out of here! And there she was with the shovels, cutting his head off. But these guys, she ruined all their fun,
Yes,
and I
we were
would
having
have
fun.
liked to watch him get bit.
And Grumpy knows when it was a racetrack as well.
So
Craig Fair.
did any of you ever drive on this? Like,
No.
Did you ever get a chance to do that?
No, I
We're
never.
too young.
Yeah, we were
No, too young.
Yeah.
These roads were all
Yeah.
stone here. These weren't
That
these
was
weren't
built
real
to the
roads.
max.
These were stone back then. If you went from here anywhere all the way to Wingate, there were stones instead of
Just
an
a
actual
gravel
pavement.
road.
Yep,
Yeah,
dirt roads.
gravel.
This was
yeah.
hillbilly country. Then.
So what was a funny story that you ever had of being on this drag strip and just watching or riding your bike or whatever?
and walking through the woods. Paying and walking. 9
Yeah,
years old.
sneak through the woods to get in, so you didn't have to
Yeah.
pay.
Oh, well,
Okay, you
that,
snuck through the wood. How much was it? How much was it to get in?
wasn't much.
It wasn't much, but we didn't have no money.
Yeah, we didn't have
We
any.
didn't have no money, man.
Zero, right?
We were
real
poor.
kids.
We were.
I mean,
We were
just-
so poor we couldn't afford to pay attention.
Okay, so now they're like years later, you become bluegrassers, and now you come here. And,
Well, we used to
and-
always come here for this. Yeah, yeah.
and are you members of the AFBA? Or
He is a member.
so you're a
yeah.
member. Okay.
Yep.
I joined last year. I used to just come back here.
We just live right up the road.
Yeah, we're not far. We're in Wingate. I just bought this. I figured
I
I'd try
live
it
3
out.
miles
How
away.
about this?
Yeah.
This enormous camper behind you.
Yes.
Yeah.
How many feet is that?
40.
40 feet.
Yes.
It's like as big as some New York City apartments.
Yeah.
I'm probably not joking.
Yeah.
No, you're
That's
not.
right.
Okay, and so you park at your house, and then you come down, you park here, 9 miles away, so you can
No.
watch.
No, less than that. 3.
Not even,
3 miles.
3 miles. I'll tell you a funny story riding a bike here. Me and 2 of my friends.
This is
Uh,
right?
God, we were coming here to watch the races, and he goes to me, I like to dive on the inside. It happened right up the road here. He dove down on the inside. It was like a 90-degree turn. Coming around the corner, the Bushkill Township police hit him head on. But he was a skinny little fella, and he flipped entirely. He had just a scuff mark on his shoulder, you know, and then he had some scrapes on his knee. Flipped right over the old siren bar across the top. His ass hit the trunk, and then he bounced off into a little drainage creek, you know, right out the road. There's a picture of us standing. His bicycle rim is the whole shape of the front of the police car. You know the way it's bent? But it's because he was little, you know.
He's probably
Yep.
all right, so when you come down to the festival, you sit here, you listen to the music. What do you think about all these people descending on your space and bringing music and
It's
hanging
not
out?
unusual to me. It's
We're
just-
very,
We're
we
open.
associate with people.
We're open with
Speak to
everybody.
everybody. So everybody comes and talks.
Like,
Yeah, who
They're
would
a
say?
big
stuck up
name,
and
Paisley.
nothing else.
Their rig's bigger than your rig.
10,000 people.
It is.
Yeah.
Like it has it beat by 10 feet.
Yeah, it does.
Who is it? Oh, is that
Yeah,
Danny?
yeah.
Oh, Danny Paisley's coming on now?
Right now.
Well, that means that's time for the end of
You
our
gotta
interview,
go.
friend.
The end
We're
of
going
our
to go
show.
see
Nice
Danny
meeting you.
Paisley.
It was very nice talking
Thank
with
you
you.
so much.
That was a lot of fun. I especially like the motivations to really start the festival. One, they go, all these people keep showing up in our backyard. We got to go somewhere else. And we got to stop handing out free beer and soda.
Yeah, the people that show up for the AFBA Wind Gap Festival are truly some really beautiful people with great music. And it's only about 2.5 hours out of the city.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
anybody wants to come out, that would be great to see you this August.
We don't often do any sort of commercialization here on the show. I do want to, though, acknowledge a couple of our sponsors because we don't acknowledge them on the show very frequently. Ear Trumpet Labs powers this show. Both Liz and I use their microphones that were kindly provided by Phil at Ear Trumpet. Thank you, Phil. Appreciate and enjoy using them, and they make us sound better. And personally, I want to acknowledge our fiddle sponsors, Brad Robinson in North Carolina and Lyndon Fredericks up in Belfast, Maine. I think that's about it, Liz.
Yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for listening. And again, don't forget to follow us on all our social media, like, subscribe, and share the podcast. And we will see you the next time with our next episode.
Yep, look forward to seeing you around the Jam Circle.